Welcome back. Tonight, we drift through the sleepy streets of New York. So wherever you are, however your day has been, you have nothing to do now but rest. There are no twists tonight, nothing to follow, nothing you need to remember in the morning. A city of steel and steam, breathing slow beneath a haze of amber light. We'll drift slowly, in no hurry to be anywhere at all. If these journeys help you rest, you're welcome to follow along, but only if you'd like to. And if you're listening now, leave the name of your city and the time where you are. Wherever you're listening from, you're in good company tonight. So let yourself settle. Let your shoulders soften and let your eyes close whenever they're ready. Breathe in slowly. And let it go. There's no need to stay awake for any of this. Just let the streets of New York come to you. The streets of Manhattan feel so permanent now. They seem like they have always been there. A rigid pattern carved in stone. But this grid was a deliberate choice. Before 1811, the island was a place of rolling hills and quiet streams. Then, a group of commissioners laid a plan over the land. They drew straight lines and right angles across the natural curves of the island. Their goal was simple. They wanted to sell the land in an orderly way. This decision erased the old landscape forever. It created the canyons and avenues we know today. Every walk through the city follows these lines. It is a path chosen for us 2 centuries ago, a choice that valued order over nature, and shaped the city's very soul. A city's fortune can be decided by something happening far away. For New York, that something was a ditch filled with water, hundreds of miles to the north. Before 1825, the city's harbor was good, but not exceptional. Then, the Erie Canal was completed. This single project connected the Great Lakes to the Hudson River. It created a water highway for trade. Suddenly, the bounty of an entire continent, from timber to grain, flowed through this one channel. It all ended up on the docks of New York. This one canal, dug by hand, is the reason New York became the undisputed king of American ports. It funneled a nation's wealth through the city's hands, securing its destiny as a center of commerce for generations to come. The story of New York's skyline begins not with steel, but with ice. Thousands of years ago, a massive glacier slid over the land. It acted like a giant bulldozer, scraping away layers of soft soil and clay from the island of Manhattan. When the ice finally retreated, it left behind an incredible gift. It had exposed the island's hard, strong bedrock of schist. This ancient stone was the perfect foundation for what was to come. It could support the immense weight of skyscrapers. Just across the river, in Brooklyn and Queens, The glacier left deep soil deposits instead. This simple fact of geology explains why Manhattan grew tall, while the other boroughs grew wide. The shape of the city was carved by ice, long before the first stone was ever laid. Central Park is not a piece of nature that was preserved. It is a piece of nature that was built. By the mid-1800s, the city's relentless grid was marching north. Some New Yorkers felt a growing sense of unease, a nervous irritation, from the endless straight lines. They argued for a space of refuge. The park's designers, Olmsted and Vaux, heard this call. They intentionally created a landscape that was the opposite of the city around it. They built winding paths, gentle hills, and romantic vistas where none existed. Every curve and every pond was a deliberate act of therapy. It was designed to soothe the soul and offer an escape from the rigid geometry of urban life. The park is a man-made dream, a beautiful and direct response to the city's own self-imposed order. There was a time when a ferry ride from Brooklyn to Manhattan was a trip between two different cities. For most of its history, New York was just one of several cities in the area. But in 1898, a massive political gamble changed everything overnight. The independent cities of Brooklyn and Manhattan, along with Queens, the Bronx and Staten Island, were consolidated into one. The goal was to create a single, massive metropolis that could compete on the world stage with London and Paris. It was a controversial decision, especially for the proud residents of Brooklyn. But the vote passed. In a single day, New York City was born, transforming from a large American city into a global giant. The 5 boroughs became one, forever linked by bridges, tunnels, and a shared identity. The story of the Lower East Side is a story of walking distance. When millions of Jewish immigrants arrived in America in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, their first stop was Ellis Island. From there, a short ferry ride brought them to the southern tip of Manhattan. They arrived with very little money and few connections. So they settled in the first place they could find. They looked for the closest and cheapest housing available. This was the Lower East Side. The neighborhood became a dense, crowded and vibrant heart of Jewish life in America, simply because it was right there. It was a community built on proximity. A new life started just a few blocks from the boat that brought them here. The entire neighborhood was a testament to the power of place. New York's vertical ambition was once limited by a simple human factor: how many stairs people were willing to climb. For centuries, buildings rarely rose above 6 stories. The city grew out, not up. Then, a single invention changed everything. Elisha Otis developed a safety elevator, a device that would prevent a car from falling if the cable broke. This one innovation was the key that unlocked the sky. Suddenly, the upper floors of a building were just as accessible as the lower ones. Architects and builders could now take advantage of Manhattan's small footprint and strong bedrock. The skyscraper was born. Without the simple, reliable safety elevator, the iconic skyline we know today would be impossible. It is the single most important invention in the story of the city's vertical growth. In the cold December of 1835, a fire started in a downtown warehouse. It grew into a massive inferno that swept through lower Manhattan. When the smoke cleared, the old city was gone. The colonial town of narrow streets, wooden houses and brick warehouses had been wiped from the map. But from these ashes, a new city began to rise. The rebuilding effort was a chance to start over. Streets were widened. New buildings were constructed not from wood, but from stone and iron, making them more resistant to fire. This tragedy directly created the grander, more permanent commercial district we now know as the financial district. The fire was a moment of destruction, but it was also a moment of creation. It cleared the way for the modern financial capital to be born. For much of the 19th century, New York was a thirsty city. Its wells were polluted, and clean water was scarce. This led to devastating epidemics of diseases like cholera, which swept through the crowded neighborhoods. The city's growth was limited by this simple, desperate need. The solution was one of the greatest engineering projects of its time, the Croton Aqueduct. This monumental system of pipes and bridges brought fresh, clean water from 40 miles away. It was a river of life flowing into the heart of the city. When the water arrived, the cholera epidemics ended. With a safe and reliable water supply, the city's population could finally explode. This aqueduct didn't just quench a thirst, it allowed the modern metropolis of New York to exist and to thrive. Sometimes, a city only learns to value its past when it's gone. In 1963, the original Pennsylvania station was torn down. It was a masterpiece of architecture, a grand, beautiful gateway to the city. Its demolition to make way for an office building and sports arena was seen by many as an act of vandalism. The public outcry was immense and deeply felt. People realized that if a building this magnificent could be destroyed, then nothing was safe. This single traumatic event sparked a powerful new movement in the city. It led directly to the creation of the Landmarks Preservation Commission. This new body was given the power to protect historic buildings. The loss of Penn Station was a tragedy, but it was also a wake-up call that has saved countless other treasures since. In the 1970s, New York City was on the verge of collapse. A severe financial crisis left the city nearly bankrupt. Services were cut, infrastructure crumbled, and people fled to the suburbs. It was a dark and difficult time. But in the middle of this decay, something unexpected began to grow. The economic collapse caused property values to plummet. landlords abandoned industrial lofts and tenement buildings. This created a unique opportunity. Artists, musicians and writers, who could never afford to live in the city before, moved in. They found cheap, spacious places to live and work in neighborhoods like Soho and the East Village. They created the vibrant cultural scenes that would later define the city and make it famous. The city's artistic rebirth was an accidental consequence of its own near-death experience. The neighborhood of Harlem became the heart of Black America because of a failed business plan. In the early 1900s, developers built beautiful, grand apartment houses all over the neighborhood. They expected a wave of wealthy white residents to move in. But they had overbuilt, and the residents never came. The developers faced financial ruin. Desperate, they began renting their empty, high-quality apartments to black families. This coincided with the Great Migration, as hundreds of thousands of African Americans moved from the rural South to northern cities. Harlem became a primary destination. It offered better housing and a chance at a new life. This unique combination of a real estate crash and a mass migration created the conditions for the Harlem Renaissance, a legendary flourishing of art, music, and culture. The Garment District is a small, chaotic, and incredibly concentrated neighborhood in Midtown. And it's there for a very specific reason. In the early 20th century, the city's clothing factories, or needle trades, were scattered around Lower Manhattan. As the industry grew, it began to move north, closer to the fancy department stores of Fifth Avenue. The wealthy merchants on Fifth Avenue were not happy. They worried that the factory workers and pushcarts would ruin the upscale image of their shopping district. So they lobbied the city. They successfully pushed for zoning laws that effectively forced the garment industry to move west of 6th Avenue. This deliberate act of social and economic engineering created the garment district we know today, a world of its own, just a few blocks from the luxury it helped create. When you walk the streets of Lower Manhattan, you are often walking on land that didn't exist 400 years ago. The original shoreline of the island is now several blocks inland. Much of the land beneath your feet is artificial. It is landfill, created over centuries of growth. In the early days, ships arriving from Europe would dump their ballast, rocks and dirt used for stability, into the water. Later, dirt from massive construction projects, like the digging of subway tunnels, was used to extend the island's edge. Even garbage was used to create new real estate. The city literally built itself out into the water, creating valuable new land from nothing. The solid ground of the financial district is a testament to the city's long history of reshaping nature to fit its needs. On a Saturday afternoon in March 1911, a fire broke out at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory. The factory occupied the top floors of a building near Washington Square Park. The workers, mostly young immigrant women, were trapped. The exit doors were locked to prevent them from taking unauthorized breaks. 146 people died, many jumping from the windows to escape the flames. The city was horrified. The tragedy exposed the terrible conditions of factory work. The public outrage was so great that it could not be ignored. The fire became a major turning point for labor rights in America. It led directly to a wave of new laws and regulations that improved workplace safety. From this one horrific event, a movement was born that would protect the lives of millions of workers in the future. When New York decided to build its first subway, it faced a critical choice. The city already had elevated trains, the Gedor, L trains, that ran on tracks high above the streets. They were noisy, dirty, and cast long dark shadows on the avenues below. For the new subway, the city could have chosen this cheaper, easier option. Instead, it made a conscious decision to do something much more difficult and expensive. It decided to bury the trains underground. This was a bet on a more livable future. It was a choice to preserve the light and air of the city streets. The cut-and-cover method of construction was a massive disruption, but the result was a transit system that served the city without blighting it. It was a quiet, forward-thinking decision that shaped the feel of the city for a century. Sometimes the name of a place holds a simple, personal story. The borough of the Bronx, home to over 1 million people, gets its name from a single man. In 1639, a Swedish immigrant named Jonas Bronck arrived in the New World. He established a farm of about 500 acres in the area north of Manhattan. He was one of the first Europeans to settle there. When his friends and neighbors from Manhattan would travel to visit him, they would say they were going to the Bronx place. Over time, this simple phrase became a name for the entire area. The river that ran through his land became the Bronx River. And eventually, the whole borough became known as the Bronx. A vast and complex part of the city still carries the name of one man's farm. Wall Street is more than just a name. It's a description. In the 17th century, New York was a small Dutch settlement called New Amsterdam. It was located at the southern tip of Manhattan Island. The settlers were worried about raids from Native American tribes, rival colonies, and pirates. To protect their small community, they built a wall. It wasn't a grand stone fortress, but a simple, 12-foot-high wooden palisade that stretched from one side of the island to the other. A dirt path ran alongside this defensive wall. The wall is long gone, but the path remains. Today, that path is the most famous street in the world, the symbolic heart of global finance. It still follows the line of a simple wooden fence, built to keep a tiny village safe, almost 400 years ago. The incredible diversity of Queens, one of the most multicultural places on Earth, is the direct result of a single piece of legislation. For decades, American immigration was governed by a strict quota system that favored immigrants from Northern Europe. But in 1965, the Immigration and Nationality Act changed everything. This new law abolished the old quotas. It opened the door to people from all over the world, especially from Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean. Many of these new immigrants found their way to New York City. They were looking for affordable homes and a place to build a community. They found it in Queens. The borough became a magnet for new arrivals, who transformed it into the vibrant global tapestry of cultures, languages, and cuisines that it is today. If you get lost in the winding, crooked streets of the West Village, you are not alone. It is a charmingly chaotic neighborhood that refuses to follow the rules of the Manhattan grid. And there is a simple reason for this. The neighborhood was already there. Before the 1811 plan imposed its rigid grid on the island, Greenwich was a separate, peaceful village. It had its own organic network of streets, lanes, and paths. When the city planners drew their grid, they simply laid it on top of the existing landscape. They made an exception for the established village of Greenwich. The result is a fascinating collision of two different urban philosophies. It's a place where the rigid geometry of the new city abruptly meets the gentle, human-scaled footprint of the old village, which was thankfully allowed to remain. The harbor that made New York and New Jersey prosperous was also a source of constant conflict. The two states fought bitterly over control of the shipping lanes, the rail lines, and the port itself. This rivalry was hurting the entire region's economy. In 1921, they decided to call a truce. They created a new, powerful organization called the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. This bi-state agency was given the authority to manage the port and develop the region's transportation infrastructure. It was a peace treaty that had a physical form. The Port Authority went on to build the bridges and tunnels that physically connected the two states, like the George Washington Bridge and the Holland Tunnel. It transformed two rivals into partners, and in doing so, created the modern, unified metropolitan region we know today. In the early 1900s, the Lower East Side was home to a thriving German-American community. It was so large it was known as Kleindeutschland, or Little Germany. But the community was shattered by a single horrific event. On a beautiful June morning in 1904, a local church chartered a steamship, the General Slocum, for a picnic. A fire broke out on board. The ship's safety equipment was rotten and useless. Over 1,000 people, mostly women and children, died in the fire or drowned in the East River. It was the city's deadliest disaster until 9/11. The tragedy devastated the community. The grief was so profound that thousands of survivors and their families moved away, unable to stay in a place of such sorrow. The heart of little Germany was broken, and it never recovered. Before the skyscrapers, before the grid, before the people, there was the harbor. The most fundamental reason New York exists where it does is a simple fact of geography. The city is built around one of the world's great natural harbors. The upper bay provides a vast, deep and protected anchorage for ships. It is sheltered from the harsh weather of the Atlantic Ocean by Staten Island and the western end of Long Island. This safe haven was an irresistible draw for sailors and merchants. Other cities on the East Coast had ports, but none were as deep, as large, or as protected as New York's. This single geographic advantage was insurmountable. It is the simple, quiet truth upon which the entire complex city is built. Everything else followed from this one perfect accident of nature. The neighborhood of Battery Park City, with its quiet parks and waterfront promenades, seems like it has been there forever. But it is one of the newest neighborhoods in Manhattan, created from scratch in the 1970s. And it was built with the help of its famous neighbors, the Twin Towers. To build the World Trade Center, construction crews had to dig a massive hole in the ground to create the foundations. This excavation produced 1.2 million cubic yards of rock and soil. Instead of hauling this material away, the city decided to use it. They dumped it into the Hudson River, right next to the construction site. This massive amount of landfill created 92 acres of new land. A brand new neighborhood was born from the dirt and rock that was removed to make way for the city's tallest towers. The yellow cab is a symbol of New York, as iconic as the skyline itself. But the reason they are yellow has nothing to do with a city ordinance. It was a simple business decision made by one man. In the early 1900s, a man named John Hertz started the Yellow Cab Company. He wanted his taxis to stand out from the competition. He commissioned a study at the University of Chicago to determine which color was the easiest to see from a distance. The answer was yellow. Hertz painted his entire fleet that color, and his business boomed. Other companies soon followed his lead. Over time, the color became so associated with taxis that the city eventually made it a requirement. A choice made for a competitive edge became a defining feature of the city's landscape. Deep beneath the polished floors of the Waldorf Astoria, a secret waits in the dark. It is an abandoned train platform, known as Track 61. The air here is still and heavy with dust. This was once a hidden entrance for the hotel's most distinguished guests. Franklin D. Roosevelt used this track to arrive unseen, his private train car pulling right up to a special elevator. You can almost hear the faint echo of history in the silence. The platform is a ghost. a forgotten piece of infrastructure for a world of private travel and quiet discretion. It remains there today, a silent testament to a different era of luxury, hidden just below the city's busy streets. A private world, buried under the public one, sleeping in the darkness. At the very beginning of the subway system, there was a station so beautiful it was called a jewel. The City Hall station was the southern terminus of the first line, a showpiece of design. It features graceful, curved platforms, leaded glass skylights, and magnificent tiled arches by Guastavino. But its curved platform was too short for newer, longer trains. The station was closed in 1945. It has been sleeping in the dark ever since. But it is not gone. If you take the 6 train to its last downtown stop, you can stay on board. The train uses the old station's track to loop around and head back uptown. For a brief moment, you can see it from your window, a beautiful, silent ghost of a station, still waiting in the darkness. If you stand in the main concourse of Grand Central Terminal and look up, you will see the heavens. The vast ceiling is a beautiful mural of the winter sky, with constellations and stars picked out in gold leaf. But there is a famous mistake hidden in this celestial scene. The entire star field is painted backwards, a mirror image of the actual sky. When the mistake was discovered, the architects didn't admit their error. Instead, they claimed it was intentional. They said the ceiling represented a divine view of the stars, as seen from God's perspective, looking down upon the earth. It is a beautiful explanation for a simple mistake. A story that turned a human error into a moment of poetry, forever painted on the ceiling of the city's grandest room. Walking down Lemon Street in the quiet historic neighborhood of Brooklyn Heights, you might pass number 58 without a second glance. It looks like a handsome, well-maintained brick townhouse, just like its neighbors. But if you look closer, you might notice something strange. The windows are completely black and opaque. There is no sign of life. That is because this building is a fake. It is an elaborate facade, a disguise for a piece of critical city infrastructure. Behind the brick front is a ventilation shaft, and an emergency exit for the subway lines that run deep underground. It is a quiet, clever piece of urban camouflage. A secret of the city's circulatory system, hiding in plain sight behind the face of a normal, respectable home. It is a house with no one inside, only the rumble of trains below. Greenwich Village was once a place of streams and meadows. One of those streams was Minetta Brook. It flowed through the heart of the village, on its way to the Hudson River. As the city grew, the brook was buried. It was channeled into underground pipes and built over. But it is not entirely gone. The water still flows, a ghost of a stream running in the darkness beneath the streets. In some of the older buildings along its former path, you can still find evidence of it. If you go down into their basements, you might see a small channel cut into the floor. And in that channel you can see the clear, cool water of Minetta Brook, still flowing silently after all these years. It is a quiet reminder of the natural world that lies just beneath the surface of the city. The neighborhood of Soho is famous for its beautiful, ornate buildings. Their facades look like they are carved from solid stone, with elegant columns and intricate details. But this grandeur is an illusion. These buildings are made of cast iron. In the 19th century, this was a revolutionary form of construction. It was like building with a kit of parts. The ornate fronts of the buildings were not carved by artisans. They were ordered from a catalogue. The pieces were mass-produced in a factory, shipped to the building site, and simply bolted on. It was a cheap and fast way to create architecture that looked expensive and classical. Soho has the world's largest collection of these buildings. They are beautiful monuments to a clever, industrial form of mimicry, an early example of prefabricated style. Driving a car in a tunnel under a river presents a simple, deadly problem: the air. Without a constant supply of fresh air, the exhaust fumes would quickly become fatal. When the Holland Tunnel was designed in the 1920s, this was the biggest challenge. The solution was a groundbreaking piece of engineering. The designers built 4 massive windowless ventilation towers, 2 on each side of the river. Inside these towers are giant fans, powerful enough to completely replace all the air inside the entire tunnel every 90 seconds. This constant circulation of air is what makes a long underwater car tunnel possible. The system was so successful that it became the model for tunnels all over the world. The imposing brick towers are the silent, powerful lungs of the tunnel, constantly breathing for the city. For decades, an elevated freight rail line ran along the west side of Manhattan. It was built to lift dangerous trains off the city streets. But as trucking became more common, the trains stopped running. The structure was abandoned, a long, ugly scar of rusting steel. It was slated for demolition. But a few local residents saw something different. They saw the wild beauty of the grasses and flowers that had grown up between the tracks. They fought to save it. After a long battle, they succeeded. The High Line was transformed into a unique public park, a ribbon of green that floats above the city. The designers kept sections of the original tracks, a quiet reminder of the park's industrial past. It is a beautiful example of nature reclaiming a piece of the city, with a little help from its friends. To build the foundations for the Brooklyn Bridge, workers had to dig deep into the mud and rock of the East River. They did this inside massive, airtight underwater chambers called caissons. The men who worked in these chambers were called sandhogs. They worked in compressed air to keep the water out. But when they returned to the surface, many of them suffered from a mysterious illness. They experienced terrible joint pain, paralysis, and sometimes death. They called it caisson disease. Today, we know it as decompression sickness, or the bends. It is caused by returning to normal pressure too quickly. The Great Bridge that connects the two boroughs rests on foundations built by men who risked their lives in the dark, pressurized depths, suffering from a condition that no one at the time understood. As you walk through the older neighborhoods of the city, you might see them. On the side of a brick building, a faded advertisement for a product that no longer exists. These are ghost signs. They are quiet reminders of a time before digital billboards and vinyl banners. They advertise old brands of paint, coffee, or clothing, their letters slowly weathering away. Each one is a small piece of commercial history, hiding in plain sight. They are a layer of the city's past that has not been erased. They speak of businesses that have long since vanished, and a time when the walls of the city were a canvas for commerce. They are beautiful accidental monuments to the things we used to buy, the companies we used to know, and the slow, inevitable passage of time. There was a time when New York's mail traveled at 30 miles per hour, without ever seeing the light of day. From the late 1800s until the 1950s, the city had a network of pneumatic tubes running under its streets. Canisters packed with letters were shot through these tubes, propelled by compressed air. They connected post offices, businesses, and government buildings in a high-speed underground web. It was a futuristic system for its time, a hidden circulatory system for the city's correspondence. The system was eventually abandoned, made obsolete by trucks and changing mail patterns. But much of the tubing is still down there, buried and forgotten. A quiet, empty network, waiting for messages that will never come again, a relic of a different vision for the future of communication. When it was completed in 1913, the Woolworth Building was the tallest in the world. Its owner, Frank Woolworth, wanted the building to be a monument to his success. He spared no expense, especially on the lobby. It is so ornate and beautiful that it was nicknamed the Cathedral of Commerce. The lobby has a soaring, vaulted ceiling covered in shimmering gold mosaic tiles. The walls are lined with marble, and the details are inspired by Gothic cathedrals. If you look closely at the carved figures, you can find whimsical little details. There is a sculpture of the architect, Cass Gilbert, holding a model of the building. And another, of Frank Woolworth himself, counting his dimes. It is a stunning, beautiful space, a testament to the power and pride of early 20th century commerce. Deep beneath the Basilica of St. Patrick's Old Cathedral in Nolita, there is a place of quiet and eternal rest. Here lie the only catacombs in New York City. They are a series of long, narrow hallways, lined with brick and stone. The air is cool and still. Along the walls are sealed vaults, containing the remains of prominent New York Catholics from the 19th century. In a city where space is the ultimate luxury, even in death, this underground cemetery is a rare and sacred place. It is a piece of old Europe, hidden beneath the streets of a new world city. A visit here is a journey back in time, a quiet, contemplative walk through the city's hidden history, a reminder of the generations that came before, now sleeping peacefully in the darkness. Many of New York's older skyscrapers have a distinctive, stepped shape. They look like pyramids or wedding cakes, getting narrower as they rise. This is not just a style. It is the direct result of a law. In 1916, the city passed a revolutionary zoning ordinance. The new skyscrapers were becoming so tall and wide that they were casting permanent shadows on the streets below. People were worried the city would become a dark, sunless canyon. The new law required buildings to have setbacks. As a building got taller, it had to step back from the street. This was designed to ensure that light and air could still reach the ground. This single law is responsible for the iconic, elegant silhouette of buildings like the Empire State Building. It literally shaped the skyline of the city. The Statue of Liberty is a colossal figure, a giant of a monument. But her skin is surprisingly delicate. The copper that covers the statue is only 3/32 of an inch thick. That is about the thickness of 2 pennies stacked together. And her famous green color is not paint. It is the natural result of the copper reacting with the air and water over many years. This green layer, called a patina, is a form of controlled corrosion. It actually forms a protective coating over the copper, shielding it from further damage. The statue's color is a sign of its age and its resilience. It is the color of time itself, a beautiful, natural armor that has protected this fragile skin for more than a century, allowing her to stand watch over the harbor. The magnificent New York Public Library on Fifth Avenue is just the tip of the iceberg. The building itself is a massive structure, but what lies beneath it is even more impressive. The library was built on the site of the old Croton Reservoir, a huge above-ground structure that once held the city's water supply. When the library was built, The reservoir was torn down, but the deep foundations remained. Today, that underground space is filled with miles of book stacks. 7 levels of steel shelves extend deep into the earth, far below the lawns of Bryant Park. They hold millions of books in a climate-controlled environment. The library is a palace of knowledge, but much of its treasure is hidden, stored in a vast secret world of books, buried beneath the heart of the city. At the heart of Brooklyn, Grand Army Plaza is dominated by the Grand Soldiers and Sailors Arch. It is a triumphal arch, modeled on the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. Thousands of people pass by it every day, but very few of them know that you can go inside. A small hidden door leads to a narrow spiral staircase. This staircase winds its way up to the top of the arch. Inside, there are intricate bronze reliefs depicting scenes from the Civil War. And at the very top, there is an observation deck. It is rarely open to the public, a secret viewpoint hidden in plain sight. From here, you can look out over the plaza, the park, and the borough of Brooklyn. It is a quiet, hidden space inside a public monument, a secret room with a spectacular view. The George Washington Bridge is a masterpiece of engineering, a beautiful web of steel and cable. But it was never supposed to look this way. The original design called for the bridge's 2 massive steel towers to be encased in granite. They were meant to have a solid, classical look, like the piers of a Roman aqueduct. Construction began, and the steel towers went up. But then the Great Depression hit. The money ran out. The plan to cover the towers in stone was put on hold, and then abandoned altogether. But something wonderful happened. The public fell in love with the raw, industrial beauty of the exposed steel. They loved the intricate geometric patterns of the towers. The bridge's modern, elegant look is the result of a financial crisis. It is a beautiful accident, a triumph of necessity. When a New York City subway car reaches the end of its life, it does not always go to a scrapyard. Many of them are given a strange and beautiful second act. They are stripped of their seats and wheels, loaded onto barges and taken out into the Atlantic Ocean. Then they are pushed overboard. They sink to the ocean floor and become artificial reefs. Over time, these metal boxes become homes for fish, coral, and other marine life. They create new, complex habitats in areas where the ocean floor is flat and barren. It is a strange, industrial afterlife for the vehicles that once carried millions of New Yorkers on their daily journeys. The familiar shape of a subway car becomes a ghostly, silent sanctuary, teeming with a different kind of life in the quiet depths of the sea. Just outside the famous Oyster Bar in Grand Central Terminal, there is a small, vaulted space that holds a secret. It is known as the Whispering Gallery. The ceiling is a perfect arch, covered in beautiful Guastavino tiles. This specific shape creates a remarkable acoustic quirk. If you stand in one corner, facing the wall and whisper, your voice will travel along the curve of the ceiling. Someone standing in the opposite, diagonal corner can hear your whisper as clearly as if you were standing right next to them. It is a simple, magical trick of architecture. You can always see people there, trying it out for themselves, their faces filled with quiet wonder. It is a small, playful secret, hidden in the heart of a bustling terminal, a place where the building itself seems to share a secret with you. In the middle of Flushing Meadows Corona Park in Queens, stands a magnificent, skeletal globe of steel. This is the Unisphere, the symbol of the 1964 World's Fair. It is the largest globe in the world, a soaring tribute to the dawn of the space age. The theme of the fair was peace through understanding, and the Unisphere was its centerpiece. The 3 steel rings that surround the globe are not just for decoration. They have a specific meaning. They represent the orbits of the first 3 man-made objects to circle the Earth. One for Yuri Gagarin, the first human in space. One for John Glenn, the first American to orbit the planet. And one for Telstar, the first active communications satellite. It is a beautiful, optimistic monument to a moment in time when humanity was just beginning to reach for the stars. Tucked away under the massive shadow of the George Washington Bridge is a small, charming, and very red lighthouse. For years, the little red lighthouse guided ships along the Hudson River. But when the bridge was built in 1931, its bright lights made the small lighthouse obsolete. It was decommissioned and scheduled to be torn down. But a beloved children's book, The Little Red Lighthouse and the Great Grey Bridge, had been written about it. The book was so popular that it sparked a public outcry. Children and adults wrote letters, demanding that the lighthouse be saved. The city listened. The demolition was cancelled. The lighthouse was preserved, a tiny cheerful landmark saved from destruction not by its utility, but by the power of a good story. It stands there today, a testament to the love people have for a charming character. The Guggenheim Museum is a sculpture that you can walk inside. Its famous spiral ramp is a continuous quarter-mile-long gallery. But building this revolutionary shape required new and untested techniques. Frank Lloyd Wright's design was so unusual that many builders said it was impossible to construct. The solution was a method more common in shipbuilding than in architecture. The building's curving walls were made by spraying a special kind of concrete, called gunite, onto a frame of plywood and steel ribs. It was like building the hull of a giant, concrete boat. This innovative technique was what made the building's fluid, organic form possible. The Guggenheim is not just a masterpiece of design, it is a masterpiece of construction, a building that had to invent its own way of being built in order to exist. In the Long Island Sound, just off the coast of the Bronx, there is a small, lonely island. This is Hart Island. For over 150 years, it has served as New York's public cemetery, its potter's field. Over 1 million people are buried here. They are the city's unclaimed, its unknown, and its poorest residents. There are no individual headstones. The burials are in long, unmarked mass graves, with simple white markers for each trench. The work is done by inmates from Rikers Island. For most of its history, the island has been closed to the public, a place of quiet sorrow and anonymity. It is one of the largest cemeteries in the United States, a vast, hidden city of the dead, lying in silent rows just across the water from the bustling city they once called home. Guarding the entrance to the New York Public Library are two of the city's most beloved residents. They are massive stone lions, carved from pink Tennessee marble. They have been sitting in their positions since the library opened in 1911, silently watching the city change around them. In the 1930s, during the Great Depression, Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia gave them their names. He called them patience and fortitude. He said that these were the qualities New Yorkers would need to get through the difficult times. The names stuck. They are more than just statues. They are symbols of the city's resilience and quiet strength. They sit with a calm, majestic presence, two patient and steadfast guardians of the knowledge and stories that lie within the great library behind them. Every New York morning begins with a simple, perfect ritual. It happens in the bright, busy corners of 1,000 bodegas. The sound is a sizzle on the griddle. The smell is bacon, egg, and cheese. This isn't just a sandwich. It is fuel for a city that never stops moving. Cooked fast and wrapped in foil, it's a warm, hearty meal designed to be eaten on the go. Each one is a little different, made with a practiced rhythm by the person behind the counter. For so many New Yorkers, this is the first taste of the day. It is a small act of communion with the city itself. A quiet, delicious start to another loud and hurried day. It's a humble masterpiece, served without ceremony, but with a deep, unspoken understanding. In the heart of Greenwich Village, under the shade of the trees, a quiet battle is always being fought. The defining sound of Washington Square Park is not traffic or music, but the gentle, rhythmic clatter of chess pieces on stone tables. Rain or shine, a dedicated community of players gathers here. There are the famous chess hustlers, who will play anyone for a few dollars. There are old friends, meeting for their daily game. And there are curious onlookers, watching the silent, intense struggles unfold. The games are a form of public theater, a display of intellectual combat that has been a tradition in this park for generations. It is a living, breathing part of the park's identity. A quiet corner of the city dedicated to the slow, deliberate and beautiful logic of the game. The city's music scene is not just in concert halls and clubs. Some of its most memorable performances happen underground. In the vast, tiled spaces of the subway stations, the acoustics can be surprisingly beautiful. A lone musician with a saxophone or a cello can fill the space with rich, resonant sound. These unscheduled concerts provide a fleeting soundtrack for the daily commute. For a few moments, the hurried rush of the city is replaced by a melody. It is a moment of unexpected grace, a gift of music from a stranger. These performances are a daily rhythm of the city's underground life. They are a reminder that even in the most functional of spaces, there is always room for art, a small, beautiful interruption in the routine of the day, offered freely to anyone who is listening. The Bodega is a New York institution, a corner store that sells everything you could possibly need. And many of these institutions have a special, unofficial employee. This is the bodega cat. You might find one sleeping peacefully on a stack of newspapers, or gracefully navigating the narrow aisles. They are the quiet, furry guardians of these essential neighborhood hubs. They are there to keep mice away, but their role has become much more than that. They are a calming presence, a small, living piece of the store's character. They are petted by customers, fed by the owners, and generally treated like royalty. The bodega cat is a beloved, unspoken part of the city's fabric. A small, independent spirit, perfectly at home in the heart of the neighborhood, watching the city go by from its own comfortable corner. After a long, cold winter, something magical happens in New York. It happens on the first truly warm day of spring. There is a sudden collective shift in the city's energy. It is an unspoken, citywide celebration. People spill out of their apartments and into the streets. They fill the parks, lying on blankets in the sun. They gather on stoops and in sidewalk cafes, talking and laughing. The city seems to take a deep, collective breath of the warm air. It is a shared, joyful release from the grey confinement of winter. There is a feeling of hope and renewal in the air. It is a quiet, beautiful ritual of urban life, a city-wide acknowledgement that the darkness is over, and the season of light and life has finally returned. Everyone feels it, all at once. The night in New York has many acts. But for many, the final act is a quiet one. It takes place under the warm, fluorescent glow of a neighborhood pizzeria. The late-night pizza slice is a fundamental New York ritual. After a concert, a play, or a long night of work, the city's residents are drawn to these simple, welcoming places. It is a final moment of communion before heading home. Standing at the counter, or sitting on a stool, you share a simple, perfect meal with strangers. The slice is usually classic cheese, folded in half, eaten from a paper plate. It is a humble democratic pleasure. A final, satisfying taste of the city, before surrendering to sleep. It is the perfect, quiet end to a loud New York night, a tradition that happens all over the city, every single night. 4 days a week, a quiet transformation happens at the north end of Union Square. In the early morning hours, while the city is still waking up, the countryside arrives. This is the Union Square Green Market. Farmers from the surrounding region drive into the city and set up their stalls. The quiet rhythm of their work is a stark contrast to the usual pace of Manhattan. They arrange fresh vegetables, fruits and flowers with care. The air fills with the smell of fresh bread and damp earth. For a few hours, this corner of the city feels like a small town. It is a place where city dwellers can connect with the people who grow their food. It is a quiet, weekly ritual that brings a piece of the rural world into the very heart of the urban one. In many parts of New York, especially in the brownstone neighborhoods of Brooklyn, the front steps are the real living room. The stoop is more than just an entrance to a building. It is the primary social space for the neighborhood. On a warm evening, you will see people sitting on their stoops, talking to neighbors, and watching the world go by. This is stoop life. It is a shared front porch for the entire block. It is where kids play, where friends gather for a drink, and where you catch up on the local news. In a city of apartments, the stoop provides a vital connection to the street and to the community. It is a simple architectural feature that fosters a sense of togetherness. It is a quiet, daily ritual of neighborhood life, lived out in the open air. One of the most iconic sights of a New York street is the steam billowing from a manhole. It rises in great white plumes, especially on a cold day, creating a cinematic, mysterious atmosphere. Many people think it is smoke, but it is just water vapor. It is the breath of a hidden giant that lives beneath the city. This steam comes from the Con Edison steam system, the largest of its kind in the world. A network of underground pipes carries high-pressure steam to thousands of buildings in Manhattan. It is used for heating in the winter and cooling in the summer. The steam you see on the street is usually just a small leak or condensation from this massive, powerful system. It is a visible sign of the invisible infrastructure that keeps the city running. The Sunday brunch in New York can take many forms. But in Chinatown, it is a loud, joyful and delicious ritual called dim sum. Families and friends gather around large, round tables in bustling, brightly lit restaurants. The experience is a wonderful kind of chaos. Instead of ordering from a menu, you choose from a parade of small dishes that are wheeled by on carts. Steaming baskets are piled high with dumplings, buns and other delicacies. You point at what you want, and it is placed on your table. The room is filled with the sound of conversation, the clatter of dishes, and the calls of the cart pushers. It is a weekly tradition that is all about sharing, family, and the simple pleasure of enjoying a wide variety of delicious food together. It is a feast for the senses. Hailing a taxi in New York is a skill. It is a silent language, understood by millions. There is a specific choreography to it. First, the confident step off the curb, a slight but assertive move into the street's edge. Then, the arm goes up, not a frantic wave, but a strong, clear signal. While the arm is up, the eyes are scanning. You are looking at the rooftop light of the approaching cabs. Is the center light on? That means it's available. Is it off? It's already taken. Are the side lights on? It's off duty. This quick assessment, this silent communication between pedestrian and driver, is a fundamental part of the city's rhythm. It is a small, graceful dance of supply and demand, performed on the city's streets thousands of times a day. A perfect example of New York's unwritten rules. Every year, on the first Saturday of summer, a strange and wonderful migration happens. People from all over the city flock to Coney Island for the Mermaid Parade. This is not a typical parade with corporate floats and marching bands. It is a celebration of artistic self-expression and creative homemade costumes. People dress up as mermaids, pirates, and all sorts of fantastical sea creatures. The costumes are often elaborate, beautiful, and deeply personal. The parade has a quirky, bohemian spirit that is uniquely New York. It is a joyful, slightly chaotic ritual that marks the official beginning of summer. It is a day when everyone is encouraged to be their most creative and eccentric selves, a celebration of the city's artistic heart, set against the backdrop of the sea and the old amusement park. When a major snowstorm blankets New York, the city's entire personality changes. Its usual soundtrack of sirens, horns, and hurried footsteps is replaced by a strange and beautiful quiet. The snow absorbs the sound, creating a muffled, peaceful atmosphere. For a brief period, the city's relentless rhythm is paused. The streets are empty of cars. People walk in the middle of avenues, their voices hushed. The snow transforms the familiar landscape into something new and magical. It is a forced moment of stillness in a city that is always in motion. New Yorkers have a love-hate relationship with the snow, but almost everyone can appreciate the profound, almost sacred quiet that it brings. It is a temporary truce with the noise, a city-wide moment of peace, before the plows and the people return. Every night, the top of the Empire State Building speaks to the city in a silent language of light. The building's famous spire is lit up in different colors to mark holidays, celebrate victories, and honor special events. A simple white light is its classic look. But it might turn red, white, and blue for the 4th of July, or green for St. Patrick's Day. The colors are a quiet conversation with the millions of people below. They are a shared signal, a city-wide acknowledgement of a particular moment. Looking up at the spire from a distant rooftop, or a quiet street, is a common, New York experience. It is a small, beautiful ritual that connects the entire city. The building becomes a beacon, a mood ring for the metropolis, sharing a silent message with everyone who remembers to look up. For 11 days every September, the neighborhood of Little Italy undergoes a complete transformation. The streets are closed to traffic and become a massive street fair for the Feast of San Gennaro. This annual tradition celebrates the patron saint of Naples and the neighborhood's Italian heritage. The air fills with the smell of sizzling sausage and peppers, and the sweet scent of Zeppo. Strings of festive lights are draped overhead, casting a warm glow on the crowds. It is a loud, joyful and crowded affair, a last great outdoor party before the weather turns cold. For many it is a pilgrimage, a yearly return to the old neighborhood. For a short time the quiet streets are reborn as a vibrant, bustling festival, a living connection to the area's immigrant past, celebrated with food, music and community. On a basketball court in Harlem, the game is played with a different rhythm. This is Rucker Park, the most famous streetball court in the world. For decades, it has been the stage for a unique style of basketball, one that has influenced the game at every level. The play here is fast, flashy and creative. It emphasizes individual expression, with acrobatic dunks and dazzling dribbling moves. The announcers on the sidelines give players nicknames and provide a running commentary that is as much a part of the show as the game itself. This is more than just a sport. It is a performance, a celebration of style and skill. The legends of Rucker Park are a part of basketball history. The court is a proving ground, a place where a player can make a name that will echo through the city. The ball drop in Times Square is a New Year's Eve spectacle, watched by billions around the world. But for many New Yorkers, the real tradition is to be as far away from that crowd as possible. The true local ritual is to find a quiet apartment rooftop with a view. From this peaceful vantage point, you can watch the distant, glittering ball make its descent. You are surrounded not by a million strangers, but by a few close friends. You share a quiet moment, a toast, as the city officially turns a page. It is a more intimate, personal way to mark the passage of time. You can feel the energy of the city, but from a calm remove. It is a shared secret among locals. The best way to experience the city's biggest moment is to find a small, quiet place to watch it from afar. On the hottest days of a New York summer, a familiar sound can be heard in some neighborhoods. It is the powerful spray of water from an open fire hydrant. This is a classic, unofficial ritual of summer in the city. someone will use a wrench to open the hydrant, releasing a torrent of cool water onto the hot asphalt. For a little while, the street is transformed into a makeshift water park. Kids run and scream with delight through the spray, finding relief from the oppressive heat. It is a symbol of summer in the city's working-class neighborhoods, a spontaneous, communal act of relief. The city provides special sprinkler caps to make it safer, but the raw, powerful blast of an open hydrant remains a potent image of urban summer, a moment of pure, unadulterated joy in the face of a heat wave. Every summer, a strange migration pattern can be observed in the financial district. You will see groups of young people in matching t-shirts, jogging through the narrow streets. They look determined, and slightly lost. This is the running of the interns, a modern Wall Street ritual. The big investment banks and financial firms organize these elaborate scavenger hunts for their summer interns. The events are designed as team-building exercises, sending the interns scrambling across the city to find obscure landmarks or perform silly tasks. For the rest of the city, it is a quiet, amusing spectacle. It is a sign that summer has arrived on Wall Street. A new generation of ambitious young people has been released into the urban canyons, a brief, youthful and slightly awkward addition to the area's usual rhythm of serious finance. While most of the city sleeps, there are places that remain bright and awake. The delis and diners that stay open all night have a specific, quiet rhythm. At 3 in the morning, they are sanctuaries of light and warmth. The customers are a unique mix of New York's night owls. There are night shift workers, like police officers and hospital staff, grabbing a meal on their break. There are people coming from bars and clubs, looking for one last stop before home. And there are the insomniacs, the people who are simply awake when the rest of the world is not. The air is filled with the smell of coffee and frying bacon. The conversation is low and sparse. These places are the quiet, steady heartbeat of the city's nightlife, serving anyone who needs a place to be in the middle of the night. One of the most beloved summer traditions in New York is Shakespeare in the Park. At the open-air Delacorte Theatre in Central Park, world-class actors perform Shakespeare's plays for free. But the performance itself is only part of the ritual. The other part is getting the tickets. To do this, you have to wait in line, often for many hours. People bring books, blankets and picnics. They make friends with the people around them. This shared experience of patience and anticipation is a fundamental part of the tradition. It is a quiet, communal act that builds a sense of camaraderie among strangers. And when you finally have your ticket, and you are sitting under the stars as the play begins, the experience is all the sweeter. You have earned it, not with money but with your time. A patient investment for a magical reward. The morning commute on a crowded subway car is a masterclass in unspoken cooperation. It is a delicate, non-verbal dance that New Yorkers perform every day. As people get on and off, the crowd instinctively shifts and adjusts. Everyone makes tiny, unconscious movements to create space where none seems to exist. A shoulder turns, a bag is lowered, a body leans just so. There is no pushing or shoving, just a collective, fluid effort to accommodate everyone. It is a form of social choreography, a testament to the city's ability to function under pressure. In the tight, anonymous space of the subway car, a temporary, unspoken community is formed. Everyone understands the rules, without ever having been taught them. It is a quiet, graceful dance of urban coexistence, performed by millions of people every single morning. In a small town, you might leave a key under the mat for a friend. In New York, there is a modern, urban equivalent. If you walk through any residential neighborhood, you will see them. Small, gray lockboxes, chained to the iron railings outside apartment buildings. These little boxes are a quiet sign of the city's trust-based service economy. They hold the keys for Airbnb guests, for dog walkers, for house cleaners. Each box is a small, secure portal into someone's private home. They are a simple, low-tech solution to the complex logistics of modern urban life. They represent a new kind of neighborhood ritual, one based on codes, apps, and a surprising amount of trust in strangers. A small, metal box, chained to a fence, holding the key to a stranger's life for a few hours. The work week in the financial district ends with a sudden, dramatic quiet. On a Friday afternoon, the narrow streets are packed with people. The energy is high, a frantic rush to the finish line. But then, at 5 o'clock, something remarkable happens. The neighborhood empties out with surprising speed. The crowds melt away, disappearing into subway stations and onto ferries. Within an hour, the once bustling streets become quiet, empty canyons between the towering skyscrapers. The sudden absence of people is almost as powerful as their presence was just moments before. For the weekend, this corner of the city, the engine of global finance, is left to the tourists and the silence. It is a weekly rhythm of exodus and stillness, a reminder that even the busiest part of the city needs to rest. On one Sunday every autumn, the entire city of New York changes its rhythm. This is the day of the New York City Marathon. The race winds its way through all 5 boroughs, a 26.2-mile-long ribbon of humanity. For this one day, the city streets belong not to cars, but to the runners. And the city's usual soundtrack is replaced by the sound of cheering crowds and live bands. The marathon transforms the city into a single, massive block party. People from every neighborhood come out to offer water, encouragement, and support to the runners. It is a day of incredible unity and positive energy. The rhythm of the city is dictated by the steady pace of the runners' feet, a powerful collective heartbeat that can be felt from Staten Island to the Bronx. If you walk through the West Village, you might step on the smallest piece of private property in New York. It is a tiny triangle of mosaic tiles, set into the sidewalk at the corner of 7th Avenue and Christopher Street. It is smaller than a single footstep. The words on it are a quiet declaration of defiance. They read, "Property of the Hess estate which has never been dedicated for public purposes." This small patch is the result of a long-ago fight over land. The city took a property for a new subway line, but missed this tiny corner. The owner, David Hess, made sure everyone knew it was still his. It is a strange and stubborn little monument to a forgotten dispute, a tiny island of private ownership in the vast public sea of the city sidewalk. In the quiet historic grounds of Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn, you might hear a sound that seems out of place. It is the loud, cheerful squawk of parrots. A large flock of bright green Quaker parrots, native to Argentina, has made New York City their home for decades. The story goes that they are the descendants of a group of birds that escaped from a damaged shipping container at JFK Airport in the 1960s. Against all odds, they survived the cold winters. They have built massive, communal nests in the steeples of the cemetery, and on other structures around the city. These bright, noisy, and resilient birds are a strange and beautiful addition to the city's wildlife. They are a splash of tropical color in a northern city, a living, breathing accident of history that has found a way to thrive. It is one of the most fundamental facts of New York's geography, and it is a lie. The East River, the body of water that separates Manhattan and Brooklyn, is not a river at all. A river flows in one direction, from a source to a mouth. The East River does not. It is actually a tidal strait. It is a narrow channel of salt water that connects two larger bodies of salt water, the Long Island Sound to the north, and the Atlantic Ocean to the south. Because of this, its currents are driven by the tides. The water flows in one direction for part of the day, and then reverses and flows in the other. This simple, strange fact makes it a challenging and powerful body of water, a river that isn't a river, a restless channel at the heart of the city. In a quiet corner of Riverside Park, near the grand monument of Grant's tomb, there is a much smaller, much more personal memorial. It is a small, weathered headstone, surrounded by a simple iron fence. The stone marks the grave of a 5-year-old boy who died in 1797. The inscription reads that it is the grave of an amiable child. The boy, St. Clair Pollock, died of yellow fever while his family was summering in the area to escape the epidemic in the city. When the land became a park, the grave was preserved. It is a strangely tender and intimate monument to find in such a large, public space. It is a quiet, heartbreaking reminder of a single, personal loss. From over 200 years ago, a small island of private grief that has been respected and maintained by the city for centuries. On a foggy Saturday morning in July 1945, the Empire State Building was hit by an aeroplane. A B-25 bomber, flying low to avoid the clouds, became lost in the thick fog. The pilot was trying to find Newark Airport, but he made a wrong turn. He crashed directly into the 79th floor of the world's tallest building. The impact created a massive hole in the side of the building and started a fire. But the building itself, a marvel of steel construction, did not collapse. It survived the impact, a testament to its incredible strength. The event remains one of the strangest and most shocking accidents in the city's history. A moment when the chaos of the world outside unexpectedly and violently collided with the city's most confident and enduring symbol, leaving a scar that was quickly repaired. In a small quiet park in Midtown Manhattan, there is a surprising relic of the Cold War. 5 large graffiti-covered slabs of the Berlin Wall stand on public display. They are a strange and powerful sight, a piece of history transplanted into the heart of New York. After the wall fell in 1989, pieces of it were sold off and sent all over the world. Several of them ended up here, purchased by a real estate company and installed as a monument to freedom. It is strange to see this symbol of division and oppression sitting in a peaceful plaza, just a few feet from a busy street. It is a quiet, concrete reminder of a world that no longer exists, a piece of a distant city's history that has become a small, strange part of New York's own landscape. The Washington Square Arch is one of the city's most iconic landmarks. But it holds a small secret. If you look closely at the base of the western pillar, you can find a small, almost invisible door. This door is usually locked. It leads to a narrow, 102-step spiral staircase that winds its way up to the top of the arch. At the top, there is a small room and access to the roof. This hidden space is almost never seen by the public. It is a secret world, hidden within a familiar monument. It is strange to think that as thousands of people pass through the arch every day, there is a hidden staircase and a secret room floating just above their heads. A private space, tucked away inside one of the city's most public and beloved structures. As you walk the streets of New York, you might see them embedded in the asphalt. They are small, rectangular plaques with a cryptic, typewritten message. These are the Toynbee tiles. They have been appearing on streets in New York and other American cities since the 1980s. The message is strange and hard to understand. It mentions Jupiter, resurrecting the dead, and the movie, 2001, A Space Odyssey. For decades, no one knew who was making them, or what they meant. The origin of the tiles is a persistent and fascinating urban mystery. They are a strange, secret message, hidden in plain sight on the surface of the city. Each tile is a small, puzzling piece of a much larger, unknown story, a quiet and cryptic broadcast from an anonymous source, still waiting to be fully understood. In the East River, just south of Roosevelt Island, there is a tiny, man-made island. It is officially named Youthant Island, in honor of the former UN Secretary-General. But it was created by accident. In the late 1800s, workers were digging a subway tunnel under the river. They built a shaft on a small rock outcropping to vent the tunnel and dispose of the excavated rock and dirt. Over time, this pile of debris grew into a small island. It is now a protected bird sanctuary, home to a colony of cormorants. It is also, officially, the smallest borough of Manhattan, a tiny, uninhabited piece of the city. A strange little piece of land, born from the city's endless construction, now given back to nature, all within sight of the United Nations headquarters. The soundtrack of New York City is a symphony of sirens, subways, and car horns. The honking is constant, a part of the city's very fabric. But what most people don't know is that it is almost always illegal. According to the city's traffic laws, a driver is only allowed to honk their horn in an emergency. Any other use of the horn is a violation that carries a potential fine of $350. This law is, of course, almost universally ignored. The daily chorus of honks is a massive citywide act of mass civil disobedience. It is a strange and funny contradiction. The sound that most defines the city's impatient energy is technically forbidden. It is a rule that exists only on paper, drowned out by the very noise it was meant to prevent. In a city of massive skyscrapers and sprawling apartment blocks, one of the most famous homes is also the narrowest. At 75.5 Bedford Street in Greenwich Village, stands a house that is only 9.5 feet wide. It is comically, impossibly thin, squeezed between its much larger neighbors. The house was built in 1873 in what was once a carriage alley. It is a clever use of a tiny sliver of land. Despite its small size, it has been home to a surprising number of famous residents, including the poet Edna St. Vincent Millay and the actor Cary Grant. It is a perfect example of the city's ability to make use of every last inch of space. A strange, skinny little house with a big history, a testament to the idea that in New York no space is too small to call home. For 36 years, the New York Public Library had a secret. From 1906 to 1942, the library's superintendent, John Fedler, and his family, lived in a secret apartment inside the main branch on Fifth Avenue. It was a spacious, 7-room apartment, hidden away from the public areas. For the Federer children, the library was their personal playground. After the library closed for the night, they would have the run of the place. They would ride their tricycles through the vast, empty hallways, and read books in the magnificent Rosemain reading room. It is a strange and wonderful image, a family living a quiet, domestic life, inside one of the world's great temples of knowledge. A secret home, tucked away in the heart of a public institution, a magical childhood that no one else could ever imagine. The nickname, the Big Apple, seems to fit New York perfectly. It suggests a grand prize, the biggest and best of everything. But the term didn't come from a slick marketing campaign. It came from the world of horse racing. In the 1920s, a sports writer named John J. Fitzgerald wrote a column about horse racing. He overheard stable hands in New Orleans talking about going to the racetracks in New York. They called it the Big Apple, meaning the big time, the place where the biggest prizes could be won. Fitzgerald liked the phrase and started using it in his column. From there it slowly caught on. It is a strange and humble origin for such a famous nickname. A piece of slang from the racetrack, a quiet observation that perfectly captured the city's ambition and allure. Outside a New York City firehouse, a single red light bulb has a very specific and somber meaning. It is a quiet and poignant tribute. When a firefighter from that station dies in the line of duty, the firehouse will replace one of its normal white bulbs with a red one. The red light will burn day and night, a silent and constant memorial to their fallen comrade. It is a small, subtle gesture, one that you might not even notice if you didn't know what it meant. But for the firefighters inside, and for the community they serve, it is a powerful symbol of loss and remembrance. It is a quiet, dignified way to honor a sacrifice, a small beacon of sorrow and respect, glowing in the heart of the neighborhood, a silent tribute to a hero. The Bowery is one of New York's most famous and historic streets. It has a reputation for being gritty and tough, a place of flophouses and dive bars. But its name points to a much quieter, more pastoral past. The name Bowery is an English version of the Old Dutch word Boerderij, which simply means farm. In the 17th century, this street was not a street at all. It was a simple farm road that led from the small settlement of New Amsterdam to the large farm, or Bowery, of Governor Peter Stuyvesant. It is strange to think that this iconic, intensely urban street was once a quiet country lane, winding its way through fields and forests. The name is a quiet echo of a rural world that has long since been paved over, a ghost of the farm that was here first. In the 1930s, at the height of the Great Depression, a new luxury apartment building on Central Park West offered an incredible, almost unbelievable amenity. The building, the Majestic, was designed with a private, indoor yacht harbor in its basement. The plan, was for wealthy residents to be able to store their yachts in the building itself. A tunnel was supposed to be built, connecting the basement harbor to the Hudson River. It was a vision of ultimate luxury and convenience. But the Depression deepened, and the grand plan was never completed. The tunnel was never dug. The basement was converted into more conventional storage space. But for a brief moment, there was a serious plan to build an apartment building with a private marina in its cellar. A strange, beautiful, and ultimately doomed dream of nautical living in the heart of Manhattan. The vending machine is a common sight today, dispensing everything from soda to sandwiches. But the very first one was installed on an elevated train platform in New York City in 1888. It was a simple cast-iron machine, and it sold a single product, chewing gum. For a penny, you could get a piece of Tutti Frutti gum from a machine made by the Thomas Adams Gum Company. It was a novelty, a new and modern way to buy a small treat. The idea was a success, and soon these machines were appearing on platforms all over the city. It is a small, strange fact of history. The global, multi-billion-dollar vending machine industry began on a noisy, windy train platform in New York, with a single piece of gum. A quiet, humble start for a technology that would change the way we buy things. 80 feet below the busy streets of the financial district, there is a vault that holds more gold than any other place on Earth. This is the gold vault of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. It is a vast, secure chamber that rests directly on the hard bedrock of Manhattan Island. The vault is home to thousands of tons of gold bars, worth hundreds of billions of dollars. But most of this gold does not belong to the United States. It belongs to foreign governments and central banks from around the world. They store their gold here because it is considered one of the safest places on the planet. It is a strange thought. Deep beneath the city, a massive, silent treasure of nations lies sleeping, a quiet testament to New York's enduring role as a center of global finance and trust. The name of a place can be a window into its past. The name, Manhattan, comes from the language of the Lenape people, the original inhabitants of the island. They called the island Mannahatta. There is some debate about the exact translation, but the most common interpretation is Island of Many Hills. It is a strange description to hear today. The modern landscape of Manhattan is famously flat, a grid of streets and avenues carved into a level plain. The original hills were flattened and graded over centuries of development. But the name remembers. It is a quiet, linguistic fossil, preserving a memory of the island's original, natural state. It speaks of a rolling green landscape that is hard to even imagine now. A quiet echo of a world that existed long before the city was even a dream. Grand Central Terminal is a place of constant motion, a hub for thousands of commuters. but hidden away in its upper levels, is a place of quiet recreation. There is a secret tennis court inside the terminal. It is located in a space that was once a television studio for CBS. Today, it is a fully functioning court, complete with a pro shop, available for anyone to rent. It is a strange and wonderful secret, an oasis of sport and leisure, hidden within a bustling transit hub. Most of the people rushing to catch their trains below have no idea that a tennis match might be happening just above their heads. It is a perfect New York oddity. A surprising private use of a public space. A quiet game happening in the attic of one of the city's busiest buildings. The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is famous for its giant character balloons. But in its earliest years, the parade had a much more lively and much more chaotic main attraction. Instead of balloons, the parade featured live animals borrowed from the Central Park Zoo. Elephants, camels and bears were marched down the streets of Manhattan, alongside the floats and the clowns. It is a strange and almost unbelievable image. The practice was eventually stopped for a simple reason. The large crowds and loud noises often frightened the animals, making them difficult to control. The balloons were a safer, more reliable alternative. But for a few years, the parade was a genuine urban safari, a bizarre and wonderful spectacle that must have been an incredible sight to see for the people lining the streets. It is one of the most famous and successful logos in the world. The I Heart NY logo is a simple, powerful symbol of love for the city. But its creation was a surprisingly humble and generous act. It was designed in 1976 by the legendary graphic designer Milton Glaser. The city was in the middle of a severe financial crisis, and the state was trying to boost tourism. Glaser sketched the logo with a red crayon on a paper napkin in the back of a taxi. He offered the design to the state for free, as a gift to the city he loved. He never copyrighted it. He wanted it to be shared. It is a strange and beautiful story. The iconic symbol of New York's resilience and appeal was born in a moment of crisis, and given freely, a simple, heartfelt message from one citizen to the world. For decades, stories have been told about the mole people of New York City. These are tales of an organized, secret society of people living in the darkness of the subway tunnels. It is a powerful and enduring urban legend. The reality is both less fantastical and more tragic. There is no organized subterranean society. However, a small number of unhoused individuals do seek shelter in the tunnels, especially in the winter. They live in small, makeshift encampments in the niches and abandoned sections of the vast tunnel network. Their existence is a difficult and dangerous one, a far cry from the romantic myths. The legend of the Mole People is a strange mix of fantasy and a harsh reality, a story that obscures the real, human struggle of those who have been forced to find shelter in the city's deepest, darkest spaces. The Statue of Liberty stands on a massive stone pedestal. But that pedestal stands on something even older. The base of the statue is built on top of the former Fort Wood, a military fortification that was completed in 1811. The fort was built in the shape of an 11-pointed star. From the ground, this shape is impossible to see. But from the air, it is perfectly clear. The entire island, with the statue at its center, is a perfect, geometric star. It is a hidden symbol, a secret shape, hiding in plain sight, beneath one of the world's most famous icons. The fort was built to defend the harbor, a symbol of military strength. It is a strange and beautiful irony that it now serves as the foundation for a global symbol of peace and freedom. In the middle of Central Park, there stands an object that is far older than the city itself. Cleopatra's Needle is a 3,500-year-old Egyptian obelisk. Getting it to New York in 1876 was a monumental feat of engineering. The 224-ton stone needle was a gift from Egypt. It was carefully loaded onto a specially designed ship for the journey across the Atlantic. But getting it from the Hudson River to its final spot in the park was the real challenge. A custom-built railway had to be constructed through the streets of Manhattan and the undeveloped landscape of the park. It took 4 months to slowly roll the massive obelisk just 2 miles to its destination. It is a strange and surreal image, a piece of ancient Egypt, slowly inching its way through the snow and mud of 19th-century New York. Our walk through New York is coming to an end. Wherever you've drifted to, you don't need to come back. There's nothing more to listen for tonight. Sleep well.